Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here. Well, I just want to be very blunt with you in today's broadcast because so much is going on in our country, and I've got so much information to show you today that literally it will chill you to the bone. And I'd rather come here and present good news to you. I know we don't always have that in light of what's going on today, but the fact of the matter is the Biden administration has been working overtime and secretly behind closed doors and under the cover of darkness to go after his political opposition, anyone who is not following their narrative. The pro-lifers, conservatives, Christians, patriots, Trump supporters, libertarian, anyone who isn't following the radical leftist agenda. And I've got to be frank, there is so much happening that you need to be aware of, and he is literally mobilizing officials, government officials, and organizations against all of those people. Let's start first with something that happened before Biden, part of the Democrat movement, back in 2009. And I want to show you this in light of Roe v. Wade, the draft leak that recently came out, because pro-lifers are being more targeted today than they have in a while. And take a look at what I'm talking about. The document that you see on the screen here was published in 2009 by Janet Napolitano, and it's a right-wing extremist document. Now, this document was published, and it was given to law enforcement, military personnel as a warning of, the potential of right-wing extremism. Well, in this document was one of the first times that they actually labeled and went after pro-lifers. If you scroll down to page 2 of 9 here, here's what it says. Right-wing extremism in the U.S. can be broadly divided into these groups, movements, and adherents that are primarily hate-oriented, based off of hatred of a particular religion, racial, or ethnic groups, and those that are mainly anti-government, rejecting federal authority in favor of state or local authority, or rejecting government authority entirely. It may include groups and individuals that are dedicated to a single issue, such as opposition to abortion or immigration. So as you can see, this is one of the first time that they kind of really went after or labeled anyone who is in opposition to abortion. But also noticed in there, they've got more on that as well, because they talks about the federal authority in favor of state and local authority. There is nothing wrong with believing or wanting more power to the state over the federal government, yet it's listed on this document. And I'm going to go a little bit on of a tangent on this because I've driven through this a lot. Not only are those kind of ideas, but if you believe in a one world government, that could put you on the terrorist list. This is back in '09. And keep in mind, all of these things are more on the Republican side, if you will. Also, if you believe that there's some kind of cataclysmic economic collapse in the U.S., kind of like we're going through right now, then that could put you on the list. If you believe in anti-government conspiracy theories, including things like, and it gets into all of these racial conflicts, strife, suspension of the U.S. Constitution, obviously all of those things. And other things that they talk about in this document is if you believe in the NWO or end time prophecies and the whole 9 yards. And you can look through that. I believe, here's the one world government, and that's on page 6. But anyhow, the thing is that we were officially put on list, anyone that is right of center, back in 2009. Well, now that the Biden administration is up and running radically with leftist politics, they are now creating, under the shadow of darkness, under the shadow of night, all these departments and divisions to go after his political opposition. Now, his latest move comes from, I'm going to play a CBS morning clip, which they are warning via an intelligence bulletin that extremists could mobilize right now against abortion clinics and government officials. And what I want you to notice is they say nothing about all the violence that is going on right now with these pro-choice abortion activists at the homes of Supreme Court justice. It completely ignores it and says, no, we're only worried about pro-lifers. Take a look at this clip here and take a listen.
Meanwhile, an intelligence bulletin reviewed by CBS News warns extremists could be mobilizing during this powerful debate nationwide, potentially targeting abortion clinics and government officials. As for
now, what I want you to notice about that is in that MSNBC report, according to their information, mobile extremists can mobilize against, and he specifically says, abortion clinics. Now, notice he didn't say, pro-life clinics or anything like that. It's specifically directed at the pro-life movement while saying nothing, absolutely nothing about the pro-choice movement and the actual violence that is happening right now. By the way, I want to encourage you, get to restrictiverepublic.com. I've got information on there that you are not going to want to miss. We really get into the detail and nitty gritty about what's really happening in society. And you can see, I don't keep my mouth shut. I'm going to tell you what is really going on, whether you like or want to know it, because you need to know it in light of everything that's happening. And for a limited time, I've got a limited number that I'm going to give away. You can use the coupon code FJB, and you can get it for $3.99 a month for the entire first year. But get to Restricted Republic. But that said, notice again that they completely ignore any extremism or violence that is happening on the Democratic side, on the left side with these pro-choicers. In fact, in a recent tweet that was published by Lori Lightfoot, she's actually calling for violence on her Twitter page, and nobody does anything about it, by the way. And here's that. Lori Lightfoot: to my friends in the LGBTQ plus community, the Supreme Court is coming for us next, which is, it's not even true. The movement has to be a call to arms. That's a call to violence, which I would never support. And she goes on, we will not surrender our rights without a fight to victory. Yet, she's allowed to have a page on Twitter and spout violence. That's calling to arms. That's actual violence. This is Lori Lightfoot. And yet it's the pro-choicers, they saying. Not only that, take a look at what Elizabeth Warren said. And I'm just going to play the clip for you here.
And we are going to fight, and we are going to fight, and we are going to fight.
So there's Elizabeth Warren saying, hey, we're going to fight back in the middle of a pro-choice protest crowd as a result of the leaked draft of Roe v. Wade. These are our leaders, our congressional leaders, our governors. These are people who have high positions of power calling for violence. And yet the Biden administration is saying it's all on the other side. You want to know something? Let's go to this year, some of the violence and things that have happened by these, pro-abortion groups. Take a look here. This is lifenews.com. Pro-abortion rioters attack pro-life conference. Feminists throw bombs at pro-life students. And that's back in 2022. Then we also have a current violence that is taking place as a result of the Roe v. Wade, Jeff. And here it is. The Denver Channel states Sacred Heart of Mary Church in Boulder vandalized with an anti-church pro-choice message. This is the second time that church has been vandalized. Then we also have ChristianPost.com, May 10th, 2022. Activists attack Catholic Church, spray paint abortion, Antarctic graffiti on the entrances of the front door. This is police in Colorado, the Catholic Church at Fort Collins. Then we have here in FoxNews.com, 3 Texas Catholic churches vandalized with pro-choice message. Pastor says the incident will not stop them. And then, of course, all the stuff that is going on at the home of our judges. New York Post: abortion right activists hold protests outside of Justice Alito's home. And then we have Red State that actually talks about violence that is happening at some of these events. Violence breaks out at pro-abortion protest after Democrat politicians call to fight. So now we're actually seeing cops be harassed by some of these pro-abortion activists. And what does the White House do? Well, they say, we're going to keep our mouth shut and we're not going to say anything as long as it's peaceful protest, but still nothing from the White House. Take a listen to what Psaki had to say earlier.
Does the president plan to condemn the leak of the Supreme Court draft opinion or the doxing of the justices now that we've seen violence unfold?
Well, I would say that we have been clear, and the president's position has long been, that we should not see protest that takes the form of violence, that takes the form of vandalism, and that threatens anyone. That has long been his position for his entire career and continues to be his position.
And for tomorrow, your office released that...
But can I say one more thing? Sorry. We have not seen violence or vandalism against Supreme Court justices. We have seen it at Catholic churches. That's unacceptable. The president does not support that. We have seen it at some conservative organizations. That we don't support that. And we certainly call for, we know the passion, we understand the passion, we understand the concern. But what the president's position is that that should be peaceful, the protest. But continue.
All right. So she refuses to condemn what's going on at the homes of the Supreme Court justices, any of the protests that are going on there. Why would she condemn it if the Biden administration has just published a bulletin, the bulletin I showed you towards the beginning of this video, that goes after the other side that isn't doing violence, at least at this time? It's his side. Of course, they're not going to condemn it. On top of that, the problem with that is it's completely illegal going to the home of a Supreme Court justice and protesting like that. And that's according to Bill Barr. Take a look here, foxnews.com. Pro-choice protest at Supreme Court justice's home breaks the federal law, says Bill Barr. But yet, they're not going to condemn it. They're not going to say anything against it. They're just, yep, we're just going to be silent on that as long as there's no violence. You know, the truth of the matter is there is a history of violence in the pro-choice movement. Let me show you some of what happened throughout history. And here it is. This is on Live Action, where I got a lot of these reports. But abortion escort attacks and taunts pro-lifers, claiming police won't help. Then we have Jill Stanek, anti-terrorism complaint filed with FBI over homemade bomb tossed at a pro-lifer. We have Live Action, elderly personhood volunteer violently attacked. And you can see he was holding a pro-life petition there. Then we have leaders of the Personhood USA attacked by violent abortion supporter. Then we have extreme abortion supporter tries to run over pro-life sidewalk counselors in North Carolina. Pro-life event at Minnesota College evacuated due to a bomb threat. More violence, pro-lifer attacked outside Florida Planned Parenthood. Abortion supporters celebrate violence against pro-lifer on social media. Update, abortion activist pleads guilty to assaulting a pro-life student. Professor who assaulted pro-life teen pleads guilty. Abortion worker pours cow manure to keep pro-life activists away. So as you can see, that's a history going back, I believe, to 2013, 2014, and just a short history of violence that has been happening by the pro-choicers. And that's not to say that it doesn't happen on the other side, because unfortunately, pro-lifers have also committed violence, and violence that I completely and utterly stand against and condemn. I don't believe there should be violence on any side. But the bottom line here is the Biden administration has a one-sided agenda. And on that bulletin that he just published and put out, he says they only have to worry about abortion clinics being attacked and government offices, but he says nothing about pro-life churches or pro-life facilities. Why is it just one-sided? Well, the truth of the matter is everything Biden has done thus far has been one-sided and attacking just one political vein. This isn't right. You're going to do it, you're going to have to go after both sides. But that is clearly not what he is doing. And here's some other things. Just a quick reminder, and I'm sure you know about some of these, but this is on the Daily Caller. Garland directed the FBI to target parents for harassment and intimidation. What specifically did they go after the parents for? Well, if they were, and you can read this in the report, I've done a lot of reports on this, but specifically went after parents if they were against critical race theory, and they called that a conspiracy theory. It's absolutely not a conspiracy theory. Or if they stood against the coronavirus vaccine mandates and mask mandates. That's the only parents that were targeted, not the parents on the alternative side, say if they were pro-mask or pro-vaccine. Nope, just the parents specifically on the other political side. In fact, they were labeled with a threat tag. Grand perjury, FBI whistleblower says parents investigated with counterterrorism were labeled with a threat tag. And this is on Zero Hedge. You don't do that. You don't do that. You don't go after one political side unless you're some kind of dictator like a Stalin, a Mao, a Hitler, something of that course, not only that, but Biden has made it very clear that he's also created a brand new department that's going to work with big tech and social media to counter disinformation. I've talked about this in length on Restricted Republic, National Review. Are you ready for the DHS Disinformation Governing Board? Again, this is AKA Ministry of Truth, who the person in charge of this thing, and I've done a lot of detail on that. I don't want to repeat, but the lady in charge of this thing specifically believes or supported, that Hunter Biden's laptop was false and misinformation, supported the Russia collusion, supported the dossier, this Christopher Steele fake dossier, stuff on Hillary. I mean, just everything. And she's 100% in support of radical leftist democratic policies. And she wants to silence her critics online. She wants to edit Twitter and the whole 9 yards. Again, one-sided. Nothing about anything on the other side. And by the way, it's illegal. That's not even allowed. You're breaking our constitutional rights by doing that. And let me also remind you of this little thing, and this is on Reuters.com. U.S. Justice Department formed a brand new unit to counter domestic terrorism. Who they target? And that, again, one-sided. The U.S. Justice Department created a new unit to counter domestic terrorism following the 2021 U.S. Capitol attack, a senior official said on Tuesday, as it faces a growing threat from white supremacists and anti-government activists. Again, one-sided. Notice the pattern here? Because I absolutely do. A big pattern. And we got to start waking up to this. He is crossing constitutional lines without no regard to anything. And our country is getting destroyed, literally destroyed. And we're only headed on a worse path as long as he's still the president. And we've got well over 2 more years of this guy. What's going to happen then? Well, I'm absolutely shaken to my core because he has shown he doesn't care about the Constitution. And unfortunately, the Republicans are dragging their feet on stopping any of that. Anyhow, I wanted to bring you guys all of that just kind of in one report. I know I went a little longer than normal, but if you want more information about the truth, just get to restrictedrepublic.com. But with that, please don't forget to check out my partner, BioTrust, at healthwithlisa.com. This multi-collagen has done amazing things for my hair, my skin, my nails, and even my joints. But this stuff has 5 different types of collagen, and it really gets down straight into your body versus the pills that you can take. And it's really easy to take. You just mix it in your coffee, and it doesn't clump, but you can mix it in your coffee or mix it in your shake every morning. But get to healthwithlisa.com and take advantage of up to 51% off. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven signing out.